What is up, guys? It's Max Kill 4, and today we'll be doing United States Medium Tank Guide. Alright, now as you can see, it is like 99% Shermans, but we're going to start with the one that is not a Sherman. So what we have here is the M3 Lee. M3 Lee has frontal armor of 50 at its highest point, and then of course it goes down to 37 at a slope, or 38. Now, this M3 Lee, about 6,000 of these bad boys were produced from 1941 to 1942. It was kind of a stopgap before we got onto the Shermans. It's armed with a 37mm and a 75mm, and it's got machine gun up here, 30 cal up there. And it's actually got two 30 cals right up in front. You can't really aim these, kind of just got to direct the tank and hope for the best. Good for infantry that are charging up to the tank, though. So just don't forget about those cool little machine guns. So it technically has 4 machine guns. So the 37mm has a range of about 170 with armor piercing, and it can get through 46mm of armor, so it can challenge pretty much all the tanks. Most of the tanks it's going to face in the mid-war, minus the Panzer IVs. And the whole mounted one is the big one that really matters. It has a range of 190, has armor piercing and high explosive, and can get through 57mm of armor. So you're going to be able to penetrate those Panzer IV F2s, which is pretty much the heaviest tanks you're going to be facing, unless you're facing Tigers, and that's just a bad day. But this guy is pretty good in mid-war. He's not a bad tank for sure, and his having dual guns, and this one's having high explosive up here. You can really shred some infantry pretty quick with this guy, and he's really lethal to tanks. Has a crew of 7, so it's a pretty big crew, but it's a big target, which is downside. But it's gonna be able to hold up against some of the tanks up until the Panzer IV F2, and then that thing will kill it. You can kill it though if you can get the first shot off. Just note that you have a weak point around the gun. It's 38mm of armor right here versus your 50 here. It's got a little bit of a slope of 38 and then 50 up here. So just keep that in mind with this bad boy. These were first used in Gazala in 1942 by the British. They replaced their tank losses from Normandy, not Normandy, but France. And got a couple of these Lees. The British ones didn't have this machine gun up top. They're called Grants. But they did a pretty nasty surprise for the Germans. So they're fighting Panzer IIIs with this bad boy, and he could take out some Panzer IIIs pretty easily. He could fight outside the range of the 5cm. He's pretty sick. Some of these went to the Soviets as well. So some of the 6,000 went to the British, some of the 6,000 went to the Soviets. I think the Soviets' name was the Death for Seven, or Seven Man's Coffin, or something like that. But, you know, what I always heard is like free beer's the best type of beer, free tank's best type of tank. So take what you can get. But moving on, next we have the M4 Early. So the M4 Early is the very first M4 Sherman that we have available. Notice how its armor is kind of welded together in chunks, giving it some weak points. So if you hit these points, you can really mess this tank up. It has armor of 50 on the good old the hull, and then it's up to 89 on the turrets, 76 on these sides. So pretty strong little hull, but it's got like some flat areas that can be penetrated easily, and it's got these very big areas you can knock out. Now these first Shermans, they were known to catch fire easily. They get penetrated, they catch fire. As you notice, all the Shermans on this side right here are all going to be, and all these tanks right here are all ones that are in mid-war. So these are mid-war Shermans and vehicles. Everything else is pretty much late war. So small amounts of mid-war guys. So M4 Early, you gotta watch out because this welded armor is not the greatest. About 8,000 of these early M4 versions were made. All these M4A1s, yeah, 8,000, a little over 8,000 of them were made. Has a 75mm with a 190 range, has penetration of 66mm, so it's got better gun than the Lee over there. Not by a lot, but also has high explosive and white phosphorus, which is super cool. Pretty much all these short barrel Shermans have white phosphorus, which just makes them really good for killing infantry. It's actually a little bit slower than the Lee because these versions weren't the best. Had the Continental R975 engine, so it wasn't the best, but it was decent. So not a bad Sherman. Moving on to the M4 Early armor. So as you can see, they've added armor plates to these weak points. They got armor above the turret hatches right there because they're kind of weak points. Armor right here, armor on the right side of the turrets right there, and then you got armor over the ammo storages. So if you ever wonder where to shoot a Sherman to make it blow up, hit right there on the ones that don't have the extra armor. But pretty cool little Sherman. Has a little bit up armor, a little bit better version. This M4 one's one you can kind of call in early war, and then this one's you can get an all around. There's one you can just call in for one, and you can get a group of 3 of them. Pretty cool. Now we're going to move on to the M4 late. Now I don't actually know where you can call this one in because I haven't seen it where you can call it in. Maybe it used to be in early war, but I don't really know where it's at. But this is pretty much only big differences from this one. It's got the armor upgrades and what else? It has the armor piercing high explosive rounds because these guys all have armor piercing. All these things have armor piercing. This armor piercing high explosive, so it's a little bit better round. Once it penetrates, it does more damage because it has a high explosive behind it. Then moving on to the M4-105, one of the call-ins you can get for late war, the last of the M4 early series. This thing's got a little bit better armor. It's got 63 millimeters. It's not all welded together, so it's a little bit better. It's just welded together in big pieces, and it's got some heavier armor, 63 millimeters, and then 91 on the actual turret ring. It's hand crank though, so the turrets can be moved very slow. So these guys all have penetration of 66 millimeters. This guy has heat rounds, so he has a range of 190 with his high explosive, and with his heat, he's got 180, but he can get through 129 millimeters of armor, which if you hit the front of a tiger with this heat round, you can really knock it out. So pretty impressive for what it brings to the table. Being able to get to the front armor of a tiger is pretty damn good. You just gotta get close enough, of course. All right, now that's all the M4A1 or M4 series. Now the M4A1. So the M4A1, the early DV. Now the M4A1s, there's about a little over 9,000 of these bad boys made. So as you can see, these guys have a cast hole now. It's a little bit better. Looks weird. I don't like the M4A1s personally. I think they look weird for Shermans, but it is what it is. Has some has some viewing slits right here that are weak points that you can aim for. So you just gotta watch out for those. But it's got 50 millimeters of armor, then 76 up here. So a little bit weaker the turrets, but a little bit better armor because it's not welded a bunch of pieces like this one was. Not bad little guy though. He's one of your call-ins you can get as well. He has armor piercing, just like the other ones, high explosive and white phosphorus at 190 range, just like all these other Shermans. All right, moving on to the mid one. So this mid one is just pretty much the only thing that he has different. Where is it? See, these vision slots went away, so it's a little bit less vulnerable, but pretty much the exact same thing. Then moving on to the M4A1 mid armor. As you might think, it has extra armor. As you can see, his armor up here covering these some of the ammo areas up here, and it doesn't look like it has any other extra armor. So just a little bit extra armor right there, making it a little bit less likely to get penetrated. So pretty cool for the M4A1 series. Moving on to the late versions. M4A1 late. This is actually the first tank you can buy for manpower if you're playing battle zones or domination. And it has the armor on the right side, and it's also got armor on the ammo storage areas. And has armor piercing high explosives, so that's pretty cool. Makes it a little bit better than the other previous versions. Can do more damage. Then next we have the 75 millimeter for the M4A1s. The 76 long barrel. Now these ones are a little bit different. They have more armor, but they're not at as much as an angle, so a little bit of a trade-off there. These ones, again, they look a little weird, but the turret's a little bit better armored. As you can see, this one right here only has, 51 millimeters of armor right there. Not great. Versus these ones got 90. 90 on these ones makes it very, very effective if they're getting hit from the turret. But this one lacks, this one doesn't have smoke. That's one thing about him. I don't know where you call this one in. I haven't seen where you call him in, but I know the M4A176 is the first 76 you can call in. He has smoke, so the long barrels have smoke, which has a range of 160, not to be confused with the white phosphorus that all these bad boys have of 190. So it's a little bit less effective versus infantry, but pretty effective versus tanks. So this is the first one that can really go toe-to-toe with the Panzer IV F2s, really, or the cheese, because it has 200 range instead of 190. But that is all of the M4A1. We're going to move on to, and one thing I forgot to mention about this one, he has the W, which means he has wet stowage, okay? So about 1944, the Americans started to put their ammunition in wet stowage. It made the tank pretty much 70% less flammable. So all these ones that were famous about getting penetrated and blowing up over here, they kind of fixed that towards the end of the war. then they could go through the wet storage and wouldn't do as much damage, wouldn't catch on fire, which is great for crew survivability, which the Americans cared about quite a bit. Nice little improvement that you'll see in some of these later tanks. All right, so the M4A3 early, moving in once again, same setup as before. Like as you can see, the welds are a little bit piecemeal, making the armor weaker. And this one only has armor piercing, which is not good, but it still has high explosive in the white phosphorus, so 190 range. Little tank. I'm not sure where you call this one in M4A3 early. I haven't really seen where this one gets called in from, but I know the M4A3 late, as you can see, has the extra armor bolted on the sides and the ammo storage, and the crew hatches. Has the 50 and then 76, or actually, it says turret armor is 89, saying 51. I think it's still 89 for right here, and then 76 on the sides with this extra armor right here, helping it out. But this is another one that you can call in for late war. Has armor piercing, high explosive, which is good, but it's not something I really want to buy personally. Then you have the M4A375W. So this one actually comes with the wet stowage, so it's going to be a lot less flammable, and it's got the different hole, as you can see. They're just big area welds, which is not nicer. It has a big slab of armor that you're going to have to face in 63 millimeters, and it's at an angle, so it's going to be a lot harder to penetrate. The turret's saying 51, but it's really like 89. So nice little Sherman. No real difference other than the lot better armor and the wet stowage. Then we have the late, which is wet stowage, pretty much same thing. As you can see, it's the late version, so they got the 50 in the back. If you didn't notice that, the 50s are kind of in the back. You need an extra guy to get on there and man them. But they pretty much have the same penetration, 66 millimeters at range, 66, 67. It's all pretty much the same for these guys. Just variations in the army. Next, we have the M4A376W. So this is a wet stowage one. This is another one that you can buy. This one's pretty good. Now, with the armor piercing high explosive, this bad boy is going to have 96 millimeters of penetration at 200 meters, which is going to be more than enough to kill Panzer IVs. So Panzer IVs are in danger, and if you can get some side shots on the Panther or the Tiger, they're going to be dead too. Now, it has 160 range for the smoke, just like the other ones. No white phosphorus on this bad boy. Not a bad purchase in the late war. So not a bad idea to get this one, but there is a better version that I will tell you guys about in just a second. Just to keep in mind, the machine gun port is a little bit of a weak point on this one. Then we have the M4A376 wet stowage HVSS field modification. So these are the field mod ones. These are one of my favorite ones because they have like the highest armor of any of them. So you get these guys with the offensive. It's like your tier 2 column at the 15-minute mark. But this Sherman is pretty freaking amazing. So it's got the 96 millimeters of penetration with 200 meters, but it also carries the HVAP. Where is it at? HVAP, high velocity armor piercing round, which it can get through a significant amount of armor. At 200 meters, it can get through, 149 millimeters of armor. 149 millimeters of armor is pretty significant. And as you can see, it's got 90 millimeters on the turret like the other 76 variants, but it's got effective armor of 127 millimeters over here. 127 millimeters with 20 millimeters of armor on here and there in different places. As you can see, they're a little bit different. They got some of them have the ammo storage, extra armor. Some of them don't. They got different turret armor to help with them, but these guys are pretty dang hardy. They can tank shots from a Tiger sometime or a Panther. They're pretty gnarly to face. I really, really like them though. These guys with the 2 HVAP rounds can be a threat to Tigers and Panthers, so they need to watch out for that. If you're aiming for a Panther, try to get a turret though. Just keep in mind your weak point is going to be your machine gun, so if you can angle that a little bit so it's not as exposed, it can sometimes be good. But overall, I like these guys a lot. I think it's just depends on which one you get, but it's probably my favorite Sherman out there because it's just such a badass Sherman. Favorite doctrinal Sherman that you can call in. Great. If I go for offensive, I almost always get this thing. But those three are pretty much the same. Then we move to the M4A376 W with HVSS. So with HVSS, like these guys, as you can see, it's got wider tracks, got smoother ride, and it's more maneuverable. Now this one has the same thing, same ammo, just a little bit less armor on the front. This is the best calling Sherman that you can get from for the price. It's going to be able to counter Panzer IVs and below. and it's just it's a freaking tank because it's 63.5 millimeters of armor, and the 9 millimeters of armor up here, and it's gonna be up to the 200 range. Gonna be able to take out the Panzer IVs. Then moving on, we have the M4A3 105s. So this is the doctrinal one. This one you get from the all-around doctrine. This one is just one you can call in with this one or the M4 105. This one's M4A3s have different engines, so they're a bit more maneuverable. It's got the HVSS on the one on the left, so that one's going to be even more maneuverable than this one. But these ones are pretty good because same thing. 190 range for the high explosive, 180 for the heat, and it has what is it? Freaking hella penetration. I forgot what it is. 129, so it's gonna be able to kill tigers. These guys can, if you can use them, especially on a map with a little bit of elevation, a little bit more hills than this, but they can get behind those elevation and they can really get some sneaky shots in and kill the enemy very easily. Next we have the M4A3E4. Now this is actually only available in the mission, and it's the Soviet version that you get. But if you go to the editor, you can get the American version, which is the Oddballs version from Kelly's Heroes, if you haven't seen it. Now this one actually lacks the, doesn't have any smoke. You think it would have paint rounds. If you've seen Kelly Heroes, then you know. But it just has armor piercing and high explosive, which is kind of disappointing. Then moving on, we have the Beast. Now these are assault tanks. These were actually M4A3s. There are about 250 of them that were up armored. And M4A3s in total, they're about, let's see, about, how many of these bad boys were made? 11,000 of these were made, and then 250 were converted to the jumbos. These guys just got converted with a shit ton of extra armor. As you can see, 178 on the turret, and then 101 at the slope, and 107 down here. So it has a little bit, just a little bit more than the Tiger. This one has white phosphorus rounds, and it's got 190 range, and this one's got 200 range. It's got 2 HVAP rounds. Almost no reason to buy this short barrel one because why would you ever? You guys let me know in the chat why you would ever buy the short barrel one. But the long barrel one it's a good buy if you have a lot of stuff to save up, and it can be nice to get this one that can shrug off some rounds. It can shrug off some 88 rounds, but it's a little bit risky because they get you at the right angle, then you can still be dead and lose a very expensive tank. But overall, the most armored one on the turret, 178. The field mod also has got 90, but it's got the best turret by far. Doesn't have the best hull armor because the HVSS does have it beat with an effective armor of 127 over here. Just that one little dark spot. But overall, the best Shermans I would say are the M4, the Jumbo 76, the 105s, and the 76 HVSS, both this one and the field mod. All the other ones are just kind of meh for early war. I like in the Lee, and then I like these mid armor Shermans. But all of them having armor piercing is kind of disappointing. But all the other variants, as you can see, the Soviets, their variants of the M3 Lee, they got some M4A2s, which are the most exported model of M4A Shermans. M4A2s going to the British and the Soviets. And we got some, a lot of A2s, and then they even got a A3 over there. That's the one for the actual mission, the Soviets version of the Kelly's Heroes. Then you see all these variants. We'll go do a different video over the variants. We got the T-34 Calliope DD version, the mine roller, hopefully with the mine flail eventually, and then the flamethrower. It's got a flamethrower in the hull. Then we also have the British ones that are in the missions, which have extra armor over here, and it's got the Firefly. This thing actually has 210 range. As you can see, it's got the camo to kind of camouflage its gun. If you guys didn't know, the British usually had one of these Fireflies rocking for every 4 Shermans, so 3 regular 75 Shermans, then a Firefly for anti-tank support. But if the Germans saw this long barrel, they go for it. So that's why the barrel's camouflage pretty cool. Can't wait to see more of these guys because they're going to be pretty sick to play as. But thank you guys for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more, and comment what guides you want to see next. And goodbye.